Hello, everybody. How we doing? I know this is different. I usually put up long form videos every week, but I seen people seem to enjoy me doing it on live stream. So I thought I would challenge myself just a little bit this week. Good to see everybody. Thank you for joining. Obviously, you guys know me. I'm Mike, and I make stuff. My plan is to show you guys and the rest of my audience raw woodworking, problem solving, repurposing, and all of those things unedited in real time, exactly the way they go down. Good to see everybody. I appreciate y'all here. Obviously, I'm an old man and my laptop is at a weird angle over there. I'll try to keep up with the chat as much as possible. But my plan for today is to take on the router lift. The router table. I think that's a pretty daunting challenge for a lot of woodworkers. They want one, or they hear a bunch of people say they need one. Usually don't have a stinking idea why they need one, but they get told they do. So hopefully after today, I'll take some of the mystery out of all of this. We'll build us a router table, a little one right here on the bench, with a fence, with a router lift, maybe even some dust collection. And we'll make it all out of trash. How's that sound? If you guys like what you're seeing, you like what I'm doing, then please do me a favor and think about hitting the subscribe button if you feel like I earned it. Hit the like button if you feel like the video is good. And if it wasn't, give me help. I'd love to hear it. Now, the router that I'll be selecting for today's router table, I think is a good choice because it's a good entry-level beginner router. There's not a huge amount of investment in it. The Harbor Freight Trim Master 1/4-inch trim router. That is about as basic as it gets. I think this thing's on Harbor Freight for like $30, something like that. Once you have that, a little bit of trash and a couple of other things that'll come along the way, then we'll be well on our way to a little router table with a lift mechanism. So the first thing we need to do is to attach this in some kind of way to a box or a sled that will act as our lift. I still have tons of this old laminate flooring material. Anything that you've got, if you're going to try to follow along, that's relatively slick and doesn't bind up, will be great. Because this will be riding in a pair of tracks going up and down like so for our lift mechanism. And we want this to be able to slide nice and easy inside the groove that we make. Don't worry, we won't need to cut dados. We won't need to use the router itself for much of anything until we're actually ready to get it running as a router table. Thanks again, everybody, for joining. Appreciate you being here. So the first thing I'm going to do is try to attach this in some kind of way right here. Now, if you're following along with the same kind of router, you'll notice we've got some stuff on the bottom. Normally, we'd just try to push from under here. But We've got a power switch. We've got a strain relief for the power cord under here. We're just not going to be able to do that. So we're going to have to work out something a little bit different. And I think the best bet is for me to use these two areas here to brace it nice and flat. Get it up toward the top here. We'll use our drill to make a couple of slots for our hose clamp, which I also got from Harbor Freight. And we'll just hose clamp this thing right to our sled here once I cut these tongue and grooves off the sides. In a second, I'm going to run the table saw. For those of you noise sensitive, I'm going to run the machine, cut your volume down while I take the edges off of this little piece. The width of this is completely arbitrary. I just cut the tongue and grooves off the side. It really doesn't matter. If you want to put a standard measurement to it, or if you want to try to follow along, make some plans, whatever you want to do. Looks like it came out right at 7 inches flat. So, good deal. I'm going to crank you guys down to the bench so you can watch what I'm doing here. Don't get dizzy on me. If you're just joining again, welcome. Appreciate you being here. All right, so we want our hose clamp to grab our router and hold it to right here, nice and stern. So I'm going to get a writing utensil. Because I have 1,000 writing utensils and can't ever find them. Shout out in the chat how many times you guys pulled the, I just had the damn thing, where did I set it? It's pretty common for all of us. So I'm just going to roughly eyeball myself a slot here. Ish. You get a square. So I can make sure what I do is nice and level. And as simple as that, that's going to be the location of our two slots that we make. Now, if you're brand new to woodworking and you have no idea how to make a slot, what I'm going to do is I'm going to drill a hole on this end, one on this end, and drill one in the middle, and then use the drill bit to clear out the waste so it creates me a slot. In a second, I'm going to run over to the drill press and take care of that. Be right back, guys. Again, if you tuned in this morning, appreciate you being here. Hope church service was good. Hope nobody's really hung over and really bad. If you like what you're seeing, you feel like I've earned it, I certainly would appreciate the subscribe. I will appreciate you sharing this with others. Let me get the word out that you don't always have to buy it. You can build it yourself. Got our slots going. Let's make sure our hose clamp's going to fit in there okay. Torque this bad boy down and start building the rest of the carriage. Actually, I want to go in through the front and then come around the back like so. There we go. How's everybody's day going? I hope it's going well. Big Max, good to see you. Heather, good to see you. Palato, Plywood. Shout out to all of the supporters of the channel. I appreciate you guys being here. I really, really want to be lazy and go get my nut driver, but we're doing this with minimal tools. So let's stay minimal with it. My plan is to focus on the inner workings of the lift itself, because the cabinet seems to be relatively academic. That shouldn't be hard to figure out, but we'll be able to put some cool features on it. Get a fence put on it. Make an insert plate for this guy, maybe. Maybe not. And I probably picked one of the most long-winded hose clamps I had out of the Harbor Freight assortment. All right. We're torquing down pretty nicely. Oh yeah, that sucker's in there. Now we want this to be level as much as possible, so I'm going to take my square, just eyeball down the side of my router and make sure that I'm sitting nice and square as I can get. I'll be able to tweak that a little bit later if I want to. All right. We have our router. We have our sled. So now we need a method by which to push this up and down. And I think a little chuck of 2x4 would be just enough. If I were to set it in here like so, then my bearing mechanism will go just fine. This will all make sense later on as we go. So I'm just going to roughly chop that down real quick. Again, for those of you with noise sensitivity, I'm going to engage the miter saw in a second. Turn your volume down when you give me, and when I give you a thumbs up, I'm done with the loud stuff. Kick the volume back up. Go. So now we'll attach this like so. None of this really matters. You'll see why, because all of it's going to work based on very, very simple principles that don't require a whole lot of precision. That's why I think this would be great for newbies. not going to have to do a whole lot of measuring, a whole lot of calibrating. There's not a ton of accuracy that's going to be necessary. Those screws are too big. Let me get some smaller ones. That'll do, don't get. Again, as I move along, I'm sure you'll probably see that nothing about this requires a whole ton of precision. But you will be able to get some pretty precise results with it. The process of building it, however, will be pretty simple. No accuracy required, Pilato, not a bit. Okay, so let's talk about what I did here. So I gave myself a foot. Now this foot I'll be pushing up and down on to move my lift. I also left myself a bit of this protruding on each side so that it will sink into the tracks that I make on each side of the carriage so that this will uniformly go up and down nice and easy. Again, if you're intimidated by the router in a handheld fashion, don't worry about it. You're not going to be needing it. You're not going to use a dado stack. You're not going to be doing anything crazy this time, except for some really basic stuff. Thank you, Big Mex. Appreciate you. Yes, by all means, if you do like what I'm doing, hit the like button. I'll certainly appreciate it. Let's talk about this particular router here. And what I feel the majority of your routers, the router lifts that they sell, I got a ton of complaints about them. First off, when you go shopping for a router lift and a router table, I don't care if you go to Amazon, if you go to Artfreight, you go to Woodcraft, you go to Rockler, any of them. Get your billfold ready, because they sure are proud of what they're going to sell you. I've seen router lifts and router table mechanisms going up into the thousands of dollars, which I think is frankly ridiculous. What I'm going to prove to you today, you could sit around and knock one of these together at your house out of junk you got laying around. Right out of my scrap right down here on the floor. Got a little chunk of, what is that, 1/2 inch plywood with 3/8 maybe? 3/8. So I'm going to cut a couple sides. That's going to be my carriage. And I'll cut some chunks of 2x4 in order to square this up and make it nice and rigid. Give me just a second. Let's mark this out. Now, one of the things I wanted to talk about, besides the exorbitant cost that they charge you for a router table, which again couldn't be more ridiculous if you tried, is that most of them will be based on something like this. And I had this because I contemplated another design utilizing an Acme lead screw out of a car jack that I saw busted in a salvage car. So I grabbed the jack and I cut the scissor mechanism off it. And I grabbed this. Now here's what I want to point out to you guys. Look at the amount of travel that this screw provides you. What is that, foot? 14 inches, 16 inches? This router doesn't have to go but maybe an inch or two. That's it. Unless you got one of those big ungodly bits in a big 1/2 inch router, which in this case we're using a little trim router, that wouldn't be applicable. The point is, you don't need that much travel. I don't need 1.5 feet. This is a waste. And any router lift that utilizes something like this is an absolute waste. It's not necessary. You got to move an inch or two. That's it. A done deal. So I'm going to measure this. And I'm going to give that another inch or two. Well, I need to give it more than that. Let's start by cutting this guy in half and maximizing the length that we got for our carriage height. We got here 30 and a 1/16. So we'll call it 15 because of the curve. Noise warning. I'm going to run the miter saw. If you guys kick your volume down, I'll give you the thumbs up when I'm ready. One cut, we're dead even. Big Mix is what I'm talking about. Some great ideas and really no alternatives. Makes sense to you, man. But hey, thank you so much. Oh, wait. I got to show you. I got me a new toy, and I guess I'll start using it. I can't let this go by, not on a live. That would just be sacrilege now that I have it. All right, you guys ready? There we go. Let's go. I don't even know why I did that. I just thought that was happening. All right. I found some offcuts from that laminate floor. I'm going to use some of this to make the tracks that this guy's going to ride in. So I'm going to cut a couple of these. To this same length. I need 4 of them actually. Welcome guys, again, appreciate you being here. If it's your first time, feel like I'm earning it. I will not have my feelings hurt if you accidentally trip over that subscribe button and hit it. All right, so I have 4 of these. I'm going to cut them to the uniform length. Again, watch your ears, guys. We'll run the miter saw. I'll be right back. I'll show you what this is about. We're good? Okay. So now I'm going to use this to be my track that this thing is going to ride back and forth up and down here. Does that make sense? go ahead and tack all this together. And then we'll be ready to start assembling the carriage portion. And then we'll work on the lift lever. Oh, I need to find me some really small nails. Really small brads, where are you? Forgive me, guys. I know that there's a few moments where things get a little stale for a moment, but again, I wanted to show you raw, live, uncut. If you're following along, let me know in the chat. I'd love to see how things are going. Tell me about your progress if you got any questions while you're going. Throw some of our weld bond on there. We'll tack that guy down. I found some itty bitty nails, which means I need itty bitty fingers to hold those itty bitty nails. But unfortunately, I can't see where my needle nose are. I thought I just had them in my hand. I did. I just drive a few of these little bitty guys in here. Of course, you can fasten them with whatever fasteners you have, that's fine. And that's what I did. I'm using a big old fire hammer or a big fencing hammer to drive these little bitty tacks. Looks good from my house. Barb, good to see you. I know how to fix this. If I'm going to drive itty bitty nails, I need itty bitty fingers and an itty bitty hammer. Now these nails are just serving to clamp everything and hold it in place while that weld bond dries. All right. So now I have one part of my track built. This again will ride just like so. So I'm going to attach another track just like that. Easy breezy. And since it's all cut from the same material, I'll just use this guy as a spacer to make sure I'm in good shape. If you're following along, make sure that it's snug so it doesn't play, but at the same time, you want to give this room to go up and down. You don't want it so bound up you can't even move this thing. Again, with our beautiful weld bond. Yes, I'd use Tight Bond, but they're not sponsoring me, so screw them. Beautiful. So that's what I ended up with. There's the dado slot that I needed. I'll do the same thing on the opposite side for the other side of our track. Just jab that together real quick. Again, I know that there's plenty of tools, plenty of machines that I could be using here, such as a brad nailer. But I want to make this as accessible for people just getting started as I can. So if I got to do it with a hammer and a pair of needle nose, that's what I'll do. And again, I can't stress this enough. Nothing about this is staged or rehearsed. I'm just literally grabbing trash from around the shop to make what we need. And that's the idea of my channel. You don't always have to buy your way out of problems. You don't have to buy your way into woodworking. You don't have to buy your way into making. You can build your way into it. And this is perfect for those people that want to teach themselves the craft. But at the same time, they got bills to pay. They got kids to feed. They got lights to keep on. They ain't got a few $100 to just go throw at this. Plus, as a matter of principle, I think it's frankly a bit ridiculous how much they decide to charge for these stupid router lifts and router tables. I think it's idiotic and it doesn't make any sense to me. So, old Pat, good to see you. Welcome. So what I've done now is I built the majority of my carriage. Make sure everything comes together nicely. That part came out uneven. So before that glue cures, let's move our gap a little bit. Stretch that out just there. There we go. Perfect. All right, so now can you guys see how the lift mechanism is going to work? Up and down in the slots. Easy breezy and beautiful like cover girl. Okay, so now that we've got this far, we need to make sure that we can ascertain this and it doesn't do this number on us. I'm going to move you guys up just a hair. Okay, we don't need this happening. So we're going to cut us a piece that squares this up in the back. The best place to measure it is right here where our dados are at, because this is the fulcrum where these guys are flexing. So no matter how these move, this measurement's pretty much going to stay the same. And that looks like exactly 8 inches when it's all said and done. So we'll cut an 8-inch piece of something, tack it to the back right here. Then we'll be squared up, ready for the next step. Give me just a moment. I'm going to be running some power tools. Again, if you have sensitive problems with noise, keep your volume down, and I'll give you the thumbs up when we're ready again. Is this 8 inches across? Don't spill all them little bitty nails everywhere. Good God, I don't need one of them in my foot. Put the cap back on before we lose it. Nah, that's a hair short of 8. I don't like that. Let's get something a little bigger. Hey, this'll do. Got an old piece of hardboard. One of them knocked down import pieces of particle board furniture. I'll cut a rip of 8 inches off of this and tack it on the back. Sorry guys. Stay hydrated, it's a lot out here. Looks like about 8 inches. That's what I told her. All right. There. Let's get us a measurement for the length. We'll cut that at the miter saw. Hope everybody's having a wonderful day. Appreciate you being here today. Dan's Homestead, good to see you. All right, all I'm going to do is I'm going to tack this sucker right on the back, just so we make sure to hold ourselves square. And then our router lift carriage will be just about complete. But you know what I am going to do though? I think I've demonstrated you don't have to have it, but I'm sure going to break out that brad miller. So I don't have to waste y'all's time with y'all about tack nails. Excuse me, let me get in behind you. My brad nails are back there. A little tip for those of you who are new and may have yourself a brad nailer. The orientation of how you fire this thing matters. Whether it be this way or 90 degrees to the side. If you look at the end of your brad nails, they're cut with a bevel. That bevel will follow the path of least resistance, and depending on how you orient your brad nailer, that's what will determine if you get blowouts or not. I'm going to set this guy like so. So I can set that guy like so. Even these up to one another. We'll fire off some brads. Now, I'll show you in a minute if you're curious, but trust me, I didn't get a single blowout because I had my nail gun oriented this way. If I'd have done it this direction, then it would have either shot off one side to the other. And there's our router lip. Well, the carriage for it anyway. We still need to stabilize this front half, so I'm going to put a bar across here to do just that. And it really doesn't matter what it is. You get chuck old 2x4, pallet wood, whatever. All right, guys, miter saw. Watch your ears. Almost long enough. That's what she said. Hitting the road again. Pine, good to see you. Thanks for stopping in, friend. Now, one of the things I always like to try to show you guys as best I can, and I think I'm displaying it pretty well this time too. I've got this far into it, building a router lift carriage. If you guys notice, maybe once or twice tops, I barely even touched a tape measure. It's because I'm relying on what's called referential measurements. It truly doesn't matter if this is 8 inches or 8 feet or 8 footballs. It doesn't matter. As long as this and this is the same, then they're the same. And that's all that's important. Let's pop some brads in here. Together. Give me just a second, let me find a good lever, and I'll give y'all a sneak peek at how this thing's going to work. Again, for those of you that didn't hear me last time when I was ranting on about it a few minutes ago, router lifts always have this ridiculously large length of play that's never necessary. Your router is probably going to move a couple of inches at most. It doesn't need this much play. It just needs to go about that far and back down. And that's it. It doesn't need to get crazy, right? There's a little lever bar, that'll work. I'm going to try to set this in a way so that you guys get a little bit of a sneak peek of how all this is going to work. I'm going to set me a fulcrum right there. And then, if I've got a lever under here, see if you can see inside. You starting to catch what I'm throwing at you? We'll get all of our movement and all of our adjustability off of a simple lever that we'll put in. Does the router plunge? This one does not. I specifically made this so that it is as accessible for everyone as possible. I used the little $30 1/4-inch Drill Master trim router from the Hazard Front. So this will be a good entry level that you can use. But with a plunge router, it'd be even easier. You just push on the bottom of the router and call it a day. So what we need to do now is establish that fulcrum, that lever point, determine our lever, and the method of pressing up on this to get our router up where we want. So I'll probably cut a floor in here so that I can attach to it. Just a second to do that. Another chunk of plywood scrap off the floor. Just trace this bad boy out. Cut it to be the floor of our router carriage. And that thing slides a little too well. Every time I pick it up, that thing's sliding in and out. That's very good. All right, so I traced out the profile of the bottom of my carriage. You guys watch your ears. I'm going to cut this out real quick. Be right back. So that'll be my floor upon which this will rest. Which means now I can start paying my attention to the fulcrum mechanism. I have them, so I'm going to use them because it'll just make things work a whole lot better. If you don't, it's not a big deal. But I'm going to introduce you to the unsung hero of your shop that you didn't even know you needed. Seal bearings, specifically 608 bearings. Now they call these skate bearings. Guess where I got them? I got them right out of an old nasty pair of 1990s rollerblades. The idea with this is that roller bearing offers us a little bit of relief from the friction of the bar up and down up against the bottom of this. Am I going to edit this slightly and put it out as a video? I think I should. I really, really want to. Hopefully somebody will help me with that because I'm not very good at that kind of shit. But let's see how it works. All right. So we have choices here. And we can pick which way we want to go with this. The bearing has to ride along the bottom of our plate here because as we move the lever, the position is going to change where it's pushing on it. So we want this to make it glide nice and easy, right? So we can either attach it here and then use the board rolling back and forth on it here, or we can attach it to the board this way and have it actuate as it's moving the carriage up and down. I think putting it here is going to be the easier way to get it done. So that's what I think I'm going to do. Try to change the angle here in a second so you guys can see a little better. Yes, son, what's up?
I need help.
Are you okay?
For some reason, I'm having a nosebleed.
Oh, dear. Okay, give me just a second. Guys, I'll be right back. My son's got a nosebleed. Let me go take care of him real quick. Sorry guys, I'm back. We had a tornado a couple of days ago, and the relative humidity and the heat around here right now is playing hell with everybody. Gave my kid a bloody nose. He's lying back and let it quit. All right. So again, my plan is I think I'm going to attach the bearing here. And to do that, I'm going to have a method of suspending it. So we need to build some type of a pillow block that will hold this. Pillow block really being nothing but a U-shaped channel that the bearing will sit in like so, with a shaft going through the middle that will hold it suspended so it can turn. Let's see. I'm going to find myself a nut and a bolt. If I remember, a 1/4-20 bolt goes right through these 608 bearings very nicely. It sure does. So I found myself a 1/4-20 bolt and nut. We'll suspend the roller bearing in the middle, give this a couple of flanges, and then be able to attach it to the bottom of our carriage. Let me get that fabricated real quick, as easily as I can think to do it. Some people may or may not be able to cut a notch at the end of a bolt. So we're going to sandwich one and make it out of the scrap. Watch your ears. These are the itty bittiest little chunks. All of this, of course, could be done with a handsaw. It doesn't have to be done the way I did it. So what I'm doing is I'm fashioning all of these together, like so. So we've got a place for our bearing to ride in here. I hope you guys can see that okay. Does that make sense? What I'm going to do, I'm going to blow a brad right through every one of those, just like that. Hello, Honey's Handmade. How are you? So as you can see, we made us a little pillow block. That's where our bearing's going to ride right here. We'll attach that to the bottom of the carriage. So we need to know what size drill bit we need. And that's a winner. We already got set up in the drill press. Sorry guys, I know you guys can't see. All I'm doing is drilling a hole through both of these long flanges so that I can run my bolt through there. You'll see when I get done in just a second. I know my drill press sounds a little funky, but that's because I give it a little bit of grace. It is a Walker Turner built in 1927, so I'm lucky it runs at all. So you see what I've done there? And I can cut that off later if I need to. That's not a big deal. The point is, that it will roll. Well, I guess that didn't work out so hot. We'll throw that away and do another one. That's what happens when you're doing it live. I don't like how that one turned out. It's a good idea in theory, but I think we can do better. Chuck it in the bucket. Okay. Plan B. Not that kind of plan B. Calm down. We're going to do it the other way. And make it out of a chuck of 2x4. Yes, okay. Or even better, let me just hair lip somebody. I'm going to make it out of walnut. That ought to drive somebody batty. Okay. So we need a notch in here. That's it. No, that's way too big a ball. I'm being stupid. All right. Let's think about this a little bit. Let's circle back to the actual finalization of the lift mechanism. Let's get the primary portion done first. And that means the next step is putting the floor on our carriage. Again, I appreciate you guys hanging out with me this Sunday. Granted, some people say it's because they don't have anything better to do. I'd like to think you guys could think of plenty of things better to do than sit around and watch me if you didn't want to. I bet it'd help if I reload. Pilato, I'm sure you could think of a lot of things. Catching a flight, getting a root canal. Nice and easy, right? So, let's give ourselves the fulcrum and the lever that we need. Don't worry about the bearings and all that fancy stuff later. So I'm going to give myself a nice lever right here. Yes, yes. I'll be akin to something like that. We want a big lever. Enough to get us at least an inch of play. So I think that should be good. But that's a piece of scrap wood, and that's probably working better. Oh, and it stiffens up the bottom to boot. Hey, I like that idea. It's like I planned it. Chop that off real quick. We'll set this guy right there, like so. Let's go ahead and glue that in. I feel good about that. Oh yeah, that's going to be a snug fit too. That's good. All right, so give ourselves a ledge here. So now we can put our lever in here. Watch the top, guys. That's easy and breezy. I think we're a happy camper. What do you guys think? Yep. So that'll work quite well. So we'll find a way to affix this here. Will give us a point to attach right here. Let me think of how to do that exactly. Well, another thing I can do is to go under here and go that way with it against the back and attach it with a hinge. Yes! So we'll attach it with a hinge right there. Uh-huh. Let me find the old cabinet hinge. I know I got a box of them over here somewhere. Yes. So to show you guys what I'm going to do, instead of using the fulcrum this way, which works, I'm going to attach it to the back and just use it like so. Now that gives us a little bit more range of movement. It gives us a lot more accuracy in adjusting this guy. So we need to take our carriage out. Thread our cord out of there. Attach us a hinge right here and to the back of the cabin. Yes. I like that a lot. Let me go find some shorter screws. Anybody bothering to try to build along with me? If not, that's quite fine. I found some little panhead screws here. Drill me a few pilots. Run that guy just like that. A couple more screws. If you're going to follow along with this, I used a really thin sheet of hardboard for the back. I might advise you to use something a little bit more substantial if you're going to attach a hinge. But I'm making do with what I got. You gotta be kidding me. Change of plan, we're gonna attach it to the floor. So that I've got room to get my drill in there. Because otherwise I'm an idiot and I worked myself right out of space. Just joining us, welcome. We got 11 people watching. How many likes do we got, guys? There we go. Back in its track. Something I might change is I left a little bit too much of a lip here, so that when I'm thinking about it, if this is going to go up into the router table, into the tabletop, this is going to crash before I can get this all the way up and out. So I'm going to reposition this a little further upwards so this is flush with this here. Makes sense in just a second. I do have too much lip all the time, Palalo. It's all right. I think you already know by now. If I wasn't talking crap, you'd think there's something wrong with me. All right, we're going to torque that fella down now. I think I like that. Pull out or shut up, dude. There's something wrong with me. You are right about that. But that doesn't let me travel downward enough. I can't get below the surface of the table, so I have no choice. I've got to shorten my carriage a little bit so that I get all the what little travel I do need. I have it all. So I'm going to remove my router. about an inch of this. And come back and flush up with it again. Watch your ears, folks. I'm going to run the microphone. Let's see. That gives us what we're after now. I think it does. And again, for those of you who come back and watch this after the fact, or see it in the long form video, all of these, I'm not giving any particular dimensions because it's all going to be relative depending on the router that you have. You'll have to make adjustments to fit your own router and the scrap that you're using to make this. Much better. Look at that. Now we can fully recess down into the table if we need to. We can come all the way up. Heck, we got enough that we could go all the way up here and do our tool changes without ever having any issues. That's great. I like that. So now the question becomes, we can lift our router. How do we keep it there without it falling back down? We're going to build us another pair of strips that go across the front here. That will not only give us a little bit of dust collection later when we add that, but it'll give us a place to lock a clamp. So that we can lock that in place and it'll stay where we're at. So let's begin by making ourselves a couple of runners to finish and closing this side of the box. Thank you, Max. Appreciate it. This time I will use the tape. I got 3 inches there. 3 inches, so I'm just going to cut a couple of rips at 3 inches. Or one big one. Watch your ears, folks. Down a piece. We're going to add right here. And what we're going to do is we're going to make this and another one on this other side. That'll give us a channel right here. We'll put a locking mechanism underneath it that will squeeze on these two flanges and lock it in place. I promise all that'll make sense in a second. Let me go make a couple of these cuts. Watch your ears again. You're right back. All right, so these will become the front of our router lift here. We're just going to tack these in place like so. That still lets things move, which is great. I don't like that that's got a lid sticking up. I'm going to chop those off. Just a bit, fellas. Folks, ladies and gentlemen, sorry about that. Yep, that looks good for my house. Yes, sir. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to squirt glue with my left hand. Thank you, Stroke. Appreciate it. Okay. So now we've got this on the front. We've got our lever for our router lift mechanism. We'll blow a hole for the cord here in a little bit once we start finishing it up and put the finishing touches on it. But now I need a locking mechanism to go back here. And the best way to do that is with a screw and a T-nut. Now when I was making my marking gauge, I ended up making this handle, which I couldn't stand, so I'll just use it. The thread and a T-nut. Now, if you're not familiar with a T-nut provides metal machine threads in a piece of wood. By embedding those barbs into the back side and then letting this metal screw grab in and bite it. So, we need us a couple of blocks of wood. Probably we just need a couple of pieces of our flooring material. I bet that'll do it. No, I think I want something a little bit more substantial on the backside. So to install a T-nut, I need to find a drill bit the diameter of my OD here, blow a hole in there so that I can tap this in, and then I can run my bolt from the other side. And that might be a little too thick for the screw that I got here. Yeah, that's barely even going to bite. No, that's not going to work. Let's find something thinner. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with another scrap of this stuff. Okay, premise still remains. I'm going to blow a hole through here so I can hammer this T-nut into place. I don't know what size that's going to be, but let me get some of my drill bits. Hair too big. She did not say that. All right, I think that'll work. I know you can't see me, and I wasn't going to fight with the camera. I'm over at my drill press again. Changing out to a 3/8 inch Forstner bit. That'll accommodate for my T-nut to go into. Okay, so I'll blow a 3/8 inch hole in here. Set that there. I'm just going to get the hammer and knock the hell out of this. Watch your ears. All right. So now I've added machine threads on the inside of this piece. Now I need another hole in this piece. Same size. We'll let that slide right through there. The idea, if this is working the way it does in my head, is that this guy is already too big. Give me a second, I can already tell. Let me trim it. Much better. I cut it a lot thinner. So now that guy sit right in here. You know what? I could even move this router lift out of the way while I'm finishing this. So I'm going to set this guy right underneath my lever like so. I'm going to tighten this guy into that all thread or that T-nut that I just put behind it. Perfect. Untwist, drop it, lock it down. Okay, so now I have my height adjustment stop. I could probably take some width off of this too to give me bigger range. So let me just do that real quick. There we go. All right. So now my back piece is already there. One goes through the front. And I could get even more fancy with this or whatever, but I think you guys get the idea of what I'm doing. What I'm doing is I'm sandwiching those two pieces together to create a pinch point. And that will hold my router in place. That sucker's in there. So then we have a lever. We have our stop. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a functional router lift. Made entirely out of garbage. What do you think? Yep, once again, Big Max, happy birthday, brother. Cumpleaños. Really happy to see you. Hope you guys are having a hell of a time up there. He and 77 Rockets and the Whacking Shack and Cat's Piece. A bunch of folks are up there having a real shindig in Ohio. And I'm happy you're getting the chance to do it, man. How'd that brisket turn out? By the way, if anybody would like to join in, there is a link pinned at the top of the chat, which will let you join the stage, participate right alongside me if you want to help brainstorm, you want to help work on the cabinet. I think we're in the home stretch, don't you think, folks? We've got the hard part done. I think we pretty much got the router lift figured out. We got us a rudimentary stop figured out. And again, we really don't need that much travel at all. We only needed maybe about that much. That's it. Enough to pop our router bit in and out. Let's get to work on the top. And we'll build a full-fledged cabinet for this sucker. We'll give it a fence. We'll give it dust collection. Everything it needs. All the stuff a growing boy needs. Not a CNC in sight. Absolutely not. Let's celebrate real quick. Bearded Viking style. Anyway, my battery is running low. Hold on a minute. Oh, I see. My power cord came undone from my laptop. 2 seconds. Y'all ain't gonna lose me. There we go. And we're back. Whichever one of y'all unplugged the laptop, I'm throwing something at you. All right. So now, again, we've got our router. We've got a router lift. Let's build us a router table to go with it. And I think the best way to do so is to start with the dimensions of how much we want the top to be. For the sake of our example today, we'll kick that down and out of the way. We'll go with, oh, I don't know, 12 by 12. Why not?
It's just a little binky guy.
We're going to make it a square based off of this. Whatever that is, we'll make it square. Or we won't make it square. We'll make it a rectangle. I don't care. 16 by 13, because why not? Run over the chop saw. Be right back. All right. Looks like a router bench top to me. Awesome. Now, let's think about this. Do you guys want me to do it just as basic and dirty as I can make it, or do you want a fancy router plate in it, or all that other jazz? What do you think? What do you want? I got some acrylic over there. I could do that. If I went with the acrylic, that would give me a little bit, because this is a half-inch thick. So we lose that much travel because the router will smack into this. Yep. Do it dirty, real dirty. Oh my, Pilato. Love it when you talk to me like that. All right, I got a little chunky piece of acrylic here. I don't think I need a big insert. That's what she said. Okay. We're going to go 3 inches by 3 inches. So I'm making 1.5 inches outside in the center. I'll do the same the other way. Pilato, nobody's talking dirty. You're thinking dirty. Okay. So now I'm going to knock this out. Give myself a 3-inch square in the center. But before I do any of that, let's just check and see if I even need the insert plate. I'm going to blow a hole right in the middle right there. And looks like I'll need about 1.5. So back over to the drill press. Change out my forstner bit that I got in here. And 3/8. 1.5 inches. Come on, Grandpa. Fortunately, it blew out the hole on the underside, but I don't care. Let's just see how this works if we mock it up without the insert plate. Well, we're up and in there. But we can't quite get to it to change bits. We need just a little longer. So, yeah, I think we're going to go with an insert. Easy breezy and beautiful. Can you guys hear me still? What is up with this? Is it blinking on and off for you guys? What do I got going on? Hold on. Hold on, guys. See if that fixed it. Hopefully that took care of it. Sorry about that. Hello, Baron. Good to see you. Okay. Now that we got that square cut out, make sure we got enough clearance. Yep, we are good. Okay, so that'll give us room to get our wrenches in there. can make an insert plate that goes right here. Be good to go. So let's screw our top on real quick. We don't want this permanently attached with glue or anything because we want to be able to get in there to the router if we need to later. So we're just locking this down for the moment. Perfect. Throw a couple more screws in here. Put a couple more in the back. Too short. That's what she said. Nice. Am I eyeballing most of this? You're absolutely right, I am. But in my defense, that's because I've drove so many screws at this point. I feel pretty confident in my ability to do it. Of course, if you don't, mark it out, lay it out, do what you have to. Okay, so for the funsies, looky there, I think this guy will knock up right on the side of my bench, just like that. I'll show one of the many ways we can configure this guy. By screwing it right to our quick and dirty workbench. Very good. Let's grab some router bits. Give this sucker a test run. See what happens. What you can't see is that I have plugged the router into a power strip that I've got attached to the side of my quick and dirty bench, which means I'll be able to operate it with the power switch here on my power strip. So I'm going to turn the power to on, and then perfect. So now I have my on-off switch. Raise this, engage our height stop. Grab us any old router bit. Still a Roman OG, why not? Because we all love doing those. It's the coolest thing we got. Nobody beats the Roman OG. When you guys are tightening up router bits in your router, please do not over tighten these. It does not take a lot for you to compress that collet and hold that bit. If you do it too far, you deform your collet, and then it actually holds it not as securely. And you end up tearing up your router collet when you torque down on it like a gorilla. Don't do that. Okay. Let's set ourselves. Oh, I don't know. Let's undo this. Come down a touch. Now looks good. Lock our height adjustment. Grab us a board and see how it works. Little funky piece of cedar. Here we go. Looks like it works fine with me. What do you guys think? You like it? You got any questions, comments, concerns, emotional outbursts? I fell off again. Goodness. Here we go. Good to see you, friend.
What's up, brother?
Sorry about that. I just pushed you backstage, man. Big Max in the building. What do you think, man?
Dude, I'm waiting for you to finish it so I can. That's creative as hell, man.
It is absolutely as utilitarian as I can get.
And you're putting a fence on it?
And I think the next thing I want to talk about is the fence. Yep. Let's put a fence, and I'll show you why. Fences are so over-engineered, it's ridiculous, okay? They will do with the T-track and the 2 bolts and the slots. And you don't need all that. That's so dumb. I'll show you why. Give me a second. Let me grab my spacer blocks. Act like Bill Nye for a second. Safety glasses on. Time for you guys to learn something. Now I'm going to try to zoom in so you guys can see. And I'm going to take this spacer block right here. This 1, 2, 3 block, 3 inches this way. Now if I butt it up against my router bit there, that is 3 inches. Correct? This is also 3 inches. Meaning because this is a rotational tool, perpendicular to what we're doing, it doesn't matter if this is square to anything. It doesn't matter at all. So I'm going to show you how dead simple it is to put a fence on one of these guys. You need a screw and a piece of wood, and you're done. One screw and a clamp. So, allow me to demonstrate. I have one piece of laminate floor right here. I will stick it right there. Blow a hole through it, put a screw through it. We're done. Voila, we have our fence. And let me show you how I know we have our fence. Because it doesn't matter, because I've got this fixed in one point. No matter how I turn this, I can set an appropriate distance for my fence just off that one pivot point. So all I got to do, let's set it to 1 inch, just for the fun. 1 inch to the bearing. Well, matter of fact, let me change bits so that I can give you a better example. I'll use a straight cut bit.
Michael Wilson, what's up, brother?
Mr. Wilson, glad you could join us. All right. So I put a slot cut bit in there. Not broken. That's not important. Let's say I want to cut a dado in this 1 inch from the edge. So there's going to be a dado like so, and this to here is 1 inch. I can do that. Easy enough. And let's say I want that dado to be 1/4 inch high or 1/4 inch deep into my piece. I'm going to take my 1/4 inch setup block. You don't have to have this, guys. There's 1,000 ways to do it. If you want me to show you how to make setup blocks, we can do that. But I am going to release my depth adjustment.
Right.
Drop my router. So about 1/4 inch. Lock it down. Okay. Now, I want the distance from the edge of my slot to be 1 inch. So I'm going to use my 1 inch setup block just for the fun of it because I have it. That's 1 inch. Done. I'm set up and I'm ready to go. To cut 1/4 inch deep dado down the side of this, 1 inch away from the edge. One dado, 1/4 inch deep. An inch from the edge. It's as easy as that. A fence does not have to be as complicated as they make it.
All right, now you gotta make me one. Dude, that
So if you got a fence with a rotating hole, back and forth nonsense, but we don't have to. That's the point I'm trying to make, you guys. As long as you can make a point that will move in and out in proximity to your bit, you can make all the adjustments to the fence with one singular pivot point.
Dude, that's talented right there.
How long have I been streaming now? How long did that take me to build? Let me look. Was that 2 hours? A little over 2 hours?
Yeah, around there. I mean, under 2 hours, really, though, because you.
Or you want to integrate dust collection, you said. All right, let's integrate some dust collection. We can do this without a problem. Of course, we're going to do it the Mike quick and dirty way. Here's my dust collection hose. I'm going to oval my dust collection right here. Now I know my fence is on that side, so the farthest this can go is right there. So if I set my dust collection right here, it will never conflict with the fence.
What about the piece that you're running?
Nice. Say it again.
Hey, Mike, what about the piece that you're running?
What about the piece that I'm running? I don't understand what you mean.
When you're running a piece, when you got that closed almost all the way and you're running a 2-inch wide piece or something and putting a little.
Oh, that's true. It's true. I'm going to collect so I can stick it right to the top of the fence like so.
Yeah, make it move with the
And
fence.
basically, if I was going to add dust collection of this, just so you know, catch it with a
Your video went out.
compression fit right here. Here I'm just screw it to my fence so that it moves along with it. One router table, the fence, and a locking height adjustment router lift. We made it out of trash, and we did it in a couple hours.
That all makes sense, and that
Fun. I hope you guys will. If you guys think this would be good as a long form video, chop them up and make them into videos, I am not going to have my feelings hurt if you guys decide to help me out with that. But this was actually a lot of fun. I mean, it is so liberating to have your shop sometimes free of dedicated tools like this, like my Moxon vise, like a crosscut, now this router table. I know that if I need to, I can knock one of these together in a couple hours, which means I do not have to keep one permanently anywhere around the shop. I can just build it and be done with it. Use it for what I need and then store it, put it away, trash it. Whew. I got a ton of comments down there I gotta go see. My fence is held down with temporary clamps. Absolutely, Wes. These guys do not have to be as fancy as they all try to make them out to be. I think it's frankly a little stupid. When you can knock it together right here at home. You just seen me do it in a couple hours. I will leave this live up. Hopefully I can get with somebody and they'll collab with me about how converting this over into a long form video. And if that's the case, it'll be up there in long form as well. We'll have it condensed down to get rid of some of the fluff from the live and get rid of the crap. So that if you want to make this in the future, you can just follow along.
I'd have never thought of that. Never.
Yep. I'm still, am I still lagging like crazy? Are we good?
No, you're lagging.
Damn. Hold on a second. Let me check the computer's resources and see if there's some programs I can kill or something. I'm still here. I'm parting with the back end of the computer, guys.
Michael asking you how your Franken lathe coming along.
It's got me so lagged out. Yeah, I'm here. Well, I'm still at the point where I got to build the tailstock, and it's really, I do need to get it going. Oh, I see what's going on. Flipping Discord. Stop it. Discord running in the background. That sucker will eat your resources alive, won't it?
Hell yeah, it does.
Let's see if that runs any better now. Yep, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful now. Resources are good. Sorry about the lag, guys. Hopefully that helps out. But now I got the headstock figured out. I got the speed control figured out. I need to find an old radio with a volume knob so I can get a potentiometer and change out the speed control because I don't like that little slider I got. Then after that, I need to do a tool rest. Well, I got a tool rest, but I need to do a better one. And then from there, I think it shouldn't take me long to put together maybe a spur drive or some kind of center that I can integrate into that motor shaft and then start turning stuff up, man. I can't wait. It's an exciting thing for me because it lets me learn a bunch of stuff.
I want to see it bad.
Hold on a minute. Let me see if I can get it up here. Here is Franken lathe. Oh boy. Clear out a spot for it. I started turning this, thinking I might be able to use it like a faceplate. But I still got to work all of that out. Give me a second. My slide potentiometer's over here. Wire that back in. All right. Let's see if I can fire this guy up. I don't know. I kind of stuck it over there in cold storage for the moment. Hadn't really messed with it. But let's poke at it, see what happens. That's what she said. All right.
So when it's done, what's the diameter of what you can spin on it? What's your clearance?
The throw on it right now is 5.5, so I could probably turn 10-inch, I guess.
So you're looking at 10 inches?
Yeah, right at that. wired up right.
What's up, MG?
All right, let me reconnect this circuit real quick. Back off that terminal post, rewire and integrate my fuse so I don't explode myself. Because exploding yourself is no bueno.
All right.
All right, let's see. We got power. Engage your safety on speed dial. Let's see what happens. Well, I guess I could turn this so you can see it. And yes, I don't have a turning tool, so yes, I'm going to use a flipping chisel because why not? And away we go. That looks like it works.
That is beautiful, man.
At the end of the day, I hadn't got very much farther than that. I still got to put together a little better headstock for this. Find me something a little bit more concentric.
Later, I might take Junior to town with me and go get gas.
Well, I am making chips. I think it'll be fun though. I just got to figure out how to faceplate this thing in a way that I can make it removable based on the fact that I got a fixed shaft over here. I think maybe I could thread something on it. I'm not sure yet. I hope I can.
There
But I
was
still got to
somebody
build the
that
tailstock out.
I've
A
seen
better
that.
tool rest.
There was somebody that I've seen that.
I think Matthias Vandel made a wooden floor jaw, which is crazy. Floor jaw and stays concentric with it. I couldn't tell you.
Right.
But he made it. And it's basically just 4 independent with screws, and he screws the jaws in and out independently. None of them work in synchrony with each other. Oh, goodness. So what do you guys think? What do you think of the router table? Happy about it? Feel like you can make one? They're not too bad. I consider them pretty easy to do. But then again, I have the benefit of having made several in the past, so to me, it's not that intimidating. I'd like to hear your feedback though.
I think putting that into a long form video, you know, edit it a little bit, clean it up.
I don't know why the
A lot
chat
of
isn't
people like
scrolling. There
that.
we go. I hope so. I'll do my best this evening to download the live, try to chop it up and turn it into a long form video, maybe get some B-roll or something. Again, if you made some benefit, please consider hitting the like and the subscribe. Let me check my real-time analytics. Matter of fact, I am currently sitting at 744 subscribers. Thank all of you so much. The next hurdle I have to surpass, YouTube seems to go through a process of validating watch time hours. You need 3,000 in order to turn on things like memberships and super chats. I am at 2,950 valid watch time hours. And you guys certainly helped contribute to that today. So before long,
3,000?
with any hope, I'll try to step it up a notch. Yeah, I need to get 3,000 in order to be able to apply for partner program and get monetized. Which is absolutely unreal to me. I didn't even expect that. I mean, I'm 6 months into doing this.
That's awesome, man.
But that provides to me a step up in commitment for me to make the best things that I can make for you guys in this genre, which means showing you guys how to circumvent buying your way out of problems, how to fix, how to repair, how to repurpose, how to make do with what you have. The saying is, the rich man doesn't have more than he needs. The rich man needs more than he has, or needs less than he has. He makes do with what he has. And through my many years of dealing with myself, my father, my great-grandfather, all the way back, I have tricks all the way back to the Depression, the Dust Bowl, ways that they made things work when it seemed like it was impossible. And I'm hoping that my goal with this channel is to pass it on to all of you. So if that's something that's up your alley, I'd sure like for you to stick around.
Yeah,
Whew.
that router thing, man, that's crazy how you just did that. I didn't even catch that. Fence makes 100% sense, man. That was really enjoyable.
Thanks, man. What tool do you guys want me to build next? I think the next thing I want to do is I want to show you guys how you can use the jigsaw to replace both a bandsaw and a miter saw.
Do that.
I could show you how to replace both of those tools with just this. Cutting miter angles, compound miters, freehand cutting like a bandsaw, you could do all of it. Give me your feedback. Do you guys think you want to see that?
That'd help out a lot of people.
I got a basic. I got a basic premise of it that I can show you. What you do is you build a track. And basically, you build the bottom of the miter saw, and then you set a piece just like this. You rip with your jigsaw, and then you can slide and adjust this to do square cuts, to do 30 degree, 45, whatever you want to do. use the angle function on your jigsaw to do your compound angles. This thing will do everything your sliding compound miter saw will do, and do it for about $30 and a little bit of effort. In addition, we may have seen these videos, but if you invert the jigsaw like so, and you run it this way, then you can run through it very much like a bandsaw, but have the advantage of being able to cut inside holes where you can't do that with a bandsaw. So that may be what I do for the next video. If you guys find interest in that, please let me know. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. I got to get my kids some lunch. Thank all of you guys for hanging out today. I'm going to do my best to chop this up and turn it into a video. I hope that it is something that is of use to all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone. Leave a comment after the fact. Make sure. Appreciate you guys. Have a good day.